All right, we're in. All right, it's good to be here with you guys. Like always, um, let me get this a little bit over here closer, get this back. All right, I'm so glad to be here with you guys. It's been a week. I have went through some things, so I'm gonna let you know that I was kind of rearranging some things, some stuff I had to kind of go through, health wise, and also we had I had a. I'm gonna be honest, we had a situation happened with my grandson's grandma on the other side had suddenly passed away. Um, and definitely this has been tough. And my grandson's 18. This grandma definitely, his grandma is definitely very close to him. And this has not been easy for him. And none of us, because this wasn't like an illness that we seen something coming. And I hope you guys can hear me because I believe, yeah, I see that it looks good on my microphone. And yeah, so that's kind of been the way because I meant to get a little bit into it, but definitely it's been a tough period. Even since my last video, finding out about this was tough because, like I said, we didn't see it coming. And it was like I got the news and I was like, what? Because, like I said, it wasn't like an illness where you prepare for somebody passing because you know they've been fighting something. This was out of the blue, surprising. I know this will be definitely trials for her family on that side of the family. Um, um, and it's tough. And so I definitely trying to stay in touch and staying in touch with grandson, encouraging him because I know this is definitely tough for him. Like I've already reiterated, because of life, it just has been with him and life. Period. As we were in a place of what is life and what is not. And I'm just going to kind of rail it. As you've seen, the intro today was, is there a crack in the world and do you see it? This goes aligned with my last video about the collapsing of structures. Do you see it? Notice that I had the same thing. And when I say, do you see it? This really is by decoding, but also spiritual awakening, because some see and can't see, some hear and can't hear, right? That's something that I'm also witnessing all the time. Some are not hearing and some are not seeing, as we're in a place of, like I said, the collapse. I had mentioned that the collapse had hit so hard that what my experience is through the collapsing of the structure of the fall that we see happening. And I aligned it with previous 2 years of dreams that I had, and also visions that were clear then, but not really clear as they came clear now to what's happening now. And then it was hit me in recently that what I was seeing in 2023, around this time, the end of fall, right? Which we're in fall now. Let me put something up against my back. Give me a little support here. If I can adjust a little bit here if I need be. If I can lift this a little bit. So yeah, and so the collapse, and I was seeing the collapse in time of what we're seeing with everything outside of us. Definitely politics and this world has amped up everything, right? I mean, there's just so much information as the reality collapses on itself. Are you seeing through that thin veil of both sides of reality, of what's the other side and what is this side, and what's happening as you see it collapses of government, what you're seeing, what they've been warning us, telling us, a great reset, right? They won't tell you this great reset's about, because it's a changing of definitely the guards and times and seasons and the ending of one. To whether you like it or not, your money's falling, and they're hooking up the digital age, which is already here. The AI and its structures or lack of it, the consumer and materialism connected to all this, that we've been indoctrinated as citizens on this plane, which really, do you know what you really know? And I think back to as we enter through and come here, we really don't know who we are. We've talked about that. And we don't know whence we came from. We just know we're here. And we're told this is the way you survive here by all the trends and fads and programming and cultures, right? We've been told certain things. This is what life is. And then we wake up. Those who wake up, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and have a transformation of dying daily, right? To start seeing that everything that seems that it is really not, and it's hidden in plain sight, but many don't have plain sight. And I often notice that when you are a sharpshooter, right, a very sharpshooter or marksman has to use a scope, and they become very good at using the scope to see a target, right? And I'm using this as a metaphor for you with a one-eyed scope, opening up your one eye, even your discernment and the aspects of who you really are beyond what the trends say you are and how really everything operates on this reality. So what we see on it has the structure falls, right? And I mentioned my dream last video when I was seeing structures fall, right? And then I would go out and look at the structure and I go, this is like a structure of a building or something, but where did it fall from? Because there's no big high-rise buildings for it to fall in the vicinity where hence it fall. There's no big building here or there. And I understand that this was the structure of the old world or the system falling on itself. And as it collapses, there's a lot of information. Can be overwhelming. Them that are more mature know when to take in, what not to take in, because you can hear a lot of stuff doesn't mean it's true. And I don't have to be invested. Them that are in that state don't have to be invested on whether something's true or not. Your discernment's going, and if it's something that you need and will be revealed, you understand in your confidence, and experience allows you to understand that. Nothing pushes you too much because it is what it is, and in timing within will be revealed, right? But notice that we're being told truth by platforms and people that we would never told us the truth before. In fact, they told us everything that went against them was the aluminum cone heads, right? The conspiracy theorists were conspiracy theorists. That word's not used anymore, because it appears all that was in conspiracy theorists, or a lot of it, because there's certain things they don't touch that they don't want you to know still. We're not going to get into that, but just wink, wink, think about it. Them who know. But a lot of what's being said of what's been done to us, how this reality works, how powers, all these nuggets of information that were even giving us within movies, that were even giving us information, if we hold fast and get past it being entertainment and programming, that they're telling you a story of what was coming, even in the movies, series, even now Netflix series, movies, all these were really telling you about what was coming and how it was going to come, whether it was lyrics from songs, usually not pop songs. Those are actually grabbing the teenagers into trends and fashions. And it's that pop music now is not what it used to be, right? Not at all. And then now you look at it, right? Now you look at it, and what do you see? You see all this is kind of collapsing on itself. And as it collapses, you can see, and they're actually even telling you. But if you're so bullheaded to think your political party's right and you don't hear anything else on the other side, if you're still stuck in left and right is right, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to miss the boat completely. See, we live in a reality that they told us was even if you're good, right? But if you have no knowledge, you get destroyed. My people are destroyed. I'm going to quote you your scripture. If you're religious, my people are destroyed by lack of what? Knowledge. Demiurge shit. But what I see, they're telling you have cats telling you truths about a lot of stuff, and truths. Like I said, don't mean they're on your team or looking out for the best, but everything seems to be an open collapsing of a lot of information, some overwhelming for those who don't know and don't know how to process it through decodes because the state of their spiritual or their state of their consciousness is in a place not being able to bear it or not knowing. I ran into some people just the other day, and I seen them as I walked in to get to get some blood panels done, right? To get some blood work done, and they were over there getting a little jibby jabby jube, if you know what I'm saying, code, right? And I'm thinking, why would you do that with the information that's out there? But also, why would something supposed to be looking at our health still giving it out? This is when you see really what this reality really is. Just because some will tell you the truth, some of the biggest platforms of big parts of the matrix, right? Structures will still end up holding stuff we know is clown show. And you can even get on some of their platforms about this in health, and they'll tell you what it did and what it done and what has been the outcome. It's there. But as the world is going through this process of so much information, you see all the division being prompted, all the things we've seen what happened in New York just last week, right? Similar to what's happened in Europe, preceding this by a number of years, and what's happening in London. If you don't know, you don't know what's happening in the UK and in Europe, what's happening in New York. And this is written in Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike's book, right? Whether Albert Pike actually wrote it, to me, that's not the thing, if we can prove he wrote it or not. The things that are in it that he detailed would happen in history went according to what it said in the book, from the Russian Revolution, World War I, World War II, and World War III, and how it would be used. I see it happening right in front of us, especially with the Abrahamic faiths, right? And even a lot of being pushed a division racially, almost like get each other, rally the troops against each other, which they're masters at divide and conquer because the people have never understood this is a dualistic plane. If I say, especially with social media, which is really has been a big push, kind of like 2020, social media has been a big push into an AI reality, which is not a reality. It's artificial. And then the outcomes of human behavior with each other has descended through social media to heights of division. Yeah. And people will pick and choose according to swipes, but never get in somebody's presence to feel their energy, to feel the real, authentic thing. Everything. That's why it's AI. I think AI is really means alien intelligentsia, because AI, those knowers know this is not new. Technology is not new. It's very ancient. It's very ancient. But so following up with last week, right? We went into my last live when we went live was the collapse of the structures, and do you see it? Today is kind of a follow-up to that with the crack in the world, but do you observe it or do you see it? And this is definitely an eye-opener for people with third eye, them who are awake, that are seeing beyond the veil. As the veil within these collapses open, you're getting a glimpse of the other side. But there's also something happening here. How many of you feel like you don't know where you're going? Almost even, I'm talking about spiritual ones, like something's wrong and you can feel it, whether it's in this process, even some retrogrades going on. I believe Mercury's going on right now. And some of these things that I kind of overheard being said and seen just recently with Mercury last night. But it's not that. This reality is, as the collapsing of it has, you even see some of the things happening around the world. Philippines, who has these floodings, but it's not normal how it's happening now. It's way more than they get it. They normally get that this is something that happens in a tropical city, right? A tropical countries, but they're getting it where it's almost like, what's really going on here? Whether it's the aspect of simulation, whether it's an aspect of military weather control, all this has its part. Whether it's the act of, like I said, started with a simulation, we see everything's collapsing itself upon itself, right? We seen what's happening in New York. We see what's all this stuff that's happening. Go to UK, get some knowledge. The knowledge of what's happening in the UK. There's strides in front of us with the plan of what's happening, carrying it out of their plan, which all the globalists told you about this. I mean, people to not understand what the globalists said and mean, and still not get it, will be willing with a lack of knowledge to get things and do things that will not prosper their soul, which will handcuff and lock. They'll be putting their own key in their own lock and giving it to the outside guard to lock themselves in their own digital prison, because it's already happening. And there's a group of younger folks that have never seen life without this AI stuff and without the computer age and without having these platforms that like it's real life. But we also see we have a breakdown of the culture of within feminine and masculine. We see men and women at odds with each other, which is not natural. If you're young, if you're older and you're married and you say, "What are you talking about?" You don't know what's happening out there. I run a group between 30 and 40-year-olds, younger men that I coach football that I've known since for 30, some as many as 30 to 35 years. And they're telling me what's going out with getting married and some of the dogma that was pushed from our education system, feminism, and some of the other things pushed, how there's a division and there's a total depopulation decline, just falling fast, like the collapsing, right? The collapsing of the structures. But between the structures, we're getting views of truth that are higher truth and the reality about the side of the change that's coming on that side of the other side of not that's a higher or another dimensional frequency and vibration that you have the aspect of yourself to experience, walk through, and reside in there, because there's aspects of you that reside in other dimensions in the mirrored holographic reality where everything's happening at once. There is no past, there is no future, nothing's linear. Linear only appears to the dense reality that we live in the lower states of being in this physical body, in the lower states of what is this place, right? When I see that, it's a lot of concepts really start to resonate with me more when we start looking at how this place is. Thou shalt not leave my soul in hell. Wink, wink, right? The ascending or alchemical process is for an ascension for you, for everyone that would understand that. When you look at Hermeticism and Gnosticism, hence there may be some differences, but hence they actually complement each other along with alchemy, because one didn't say it was fully one thing. They just said the process of ascension was through gnosis, which is alchemy. Is alchemy and gnosis, or I mean, even in those gnosis Bibles or Gospels, alchemy is mentioned. It is. So is the phoenix. It isn't mentioned in the Roman version. I know why. But anyways, we're not here for that. It's, do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? Is really where we're at now. And I want to share something with you. You see the name of this today's episode? Is there a crack in the world? Well, I just recently, a week ago, through a really good friend of mine, it comes on my platform enough, Patty, which I really respect. I love her revelation knowledge. Sometimes when we get together, and I'm sorry, Patty, I haven't talked to you as much. I've been going through this thing with the death in the family and some other things within the family with health and stuff like this. And the recent death of, again, I said my grandson's grandmother, which is the other side of the family, instant, dying. So I looked at this, and so the song popped up. She mentioned a song and a part in the song. And as I did more research, I found something out about that song. Another song by Sammy Hagar in the late 70s, 77, 78, called Is There a Crack in the World? That's the name of the song. I'm going to share the lyrics because these lyrics for you knowers is going to blow your mind. Get ready for it. And I got to recheck because I found out my sharing on the live stream last week didn't go over so well, that it was a dark screen. And when I re-looked, I go, oh my God, look what happened here. So I will adjust appropriately to get it. And if you're in here and you can see the screen, because I see there's some people were in here, we will do that and share. So let's share. I'm going to share these lyrics. Whoa, let me see. Why is it there? Not there. Whoa, 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 whoa. There it is. Right? No. No, where's that at? Because it was here. Why isn't it not on my thing? Wait. Lordy, what do we do here? Did I go away? I at now? Okay. Why is that not sharing the way it should share? Wow. Why didn't this share? Oh my gosh, it didn't even share. It didn't even pop up and it's on there. Let's cancel. If I have to read it, I will, but I'm going to try to redo this. Let me see. Let me try to redo this. Is there a crack in the world? Okay. Let's see if it pops up now. There it is. So I'm going to share, but I'm also going to tab it here to make sure I see it, that it's shared. You guys see that? Right? You guys see this? And I know I can't maneuver it here. Maybe I can. But let me go over here, back here, because I think you can see it. Please let me know if you can see this in there. Right? You guys can see that. All right. So follow up with last week. Like I said, Patty and me were talking about a couple Sammy Hagar sound. There's a show of another song. And in that song she mentioned, and I look up the lyrics, I go, it's not in the song. It was a live video. And it mentioned something in the live video that was really in this song. And the name of it is Crack in the World. So this is Sammy Hagar. I'll give you a little bit. Sammy Hagar was a lead singer of a group called Montrose in the early 70s, right? He was. Let me go back here. I want to just make sure you guys can see the screen. So Sammy Hagar was a singer for a rock band in the early 70s that was called Montrose, Ronnie Montrose. Sammy Hagar, a lot of people will see Sammy Hagar as he became Van Halen in the 80s singer when David Lee Roth and them had passed. So, but when you really start looking at Sammy and start looking in at Sammy talks some spiritual stuff in his songs that I found out, and actually talks about an experience that he had where he said he was visited by aliens. And he said he was taken by them. That's what he said. I'm not going to deny or abstain that I believe what he said. I do believe in, for here in this fest, I don't necessarily believe aliens come from out there, that they're interdimensional. And this was been here a long time. We can get into the Nephilim and all that stuff, which stuff I'll be talking about soon. And also I'm going to do the book of Enoch in the future. But this is some of the stuff Sammy was talking about in his story. And he said he got the song from his experience. There's a crack in the world. And this is going to ream and rising, because when we go through these lyrics, there's aspects of those lyrics that get specific when. And we got to look at this. Definitely got to look at this. So let's go over the song, the lyrics. I can go up and down a little bit with them. He said, I found out what it is that's driving me mad. There's no room to breathe between good and the bad. Whoa. There's no room to breathe between the good and the bad, the dualistic plane. I also see that you have to find the breath between them for you conscious folks. But he said most folks don't get that breath, right? A crust in between, there's a thin, thin line. People, do you hear that? Let me reiterate that. There's no room to breathe between good and the bad. A crush in between, there's a thin, thin line. But just around the corner, there's a change in the design. Let's go up back into the crush in between. There's a thin line. This is what I had mentioned last week in the collapsing of the structures, that we are seeing that thin line being a veil. Is we're seeing one dimension, those seers of reality, of a greater dimensional reality. But on one side, we're seeing the fall of the structures in this reality, the old world. Watch what it says, right? This lines up with it. Watch what he says. This is really talking about the Great Reset, right? But also a deeper, very deep ones that really can revelate, decode. Watch this. But just around the corner, there's a change in design. That's the end of one thing and a beginning of another, the Great Reset. There's a change in the reality. There's going to be a change in government. They want a global change from fiat currency or gold or silver. They're trying to push an agenda of everything being digital. And if you think it's only happened and we're fighting and warring against the globalists, think for yourself. Trump signed a huge money to have this done here. America's not fighting. The globalists are all on board with this because that's what's driving the train of that side of this, right? Just being real. That's why government's good at painting pictures because they are what they are. They're actors. And the word government means mind control. Govern means control. Ment means mental. Mental control or mind control. So they actually are what the word says they are. He says, I wish I could walk away. Watch, I dig this. And dig what the preachers say, but those words don't satisfy no more. That's somebody who's waking up right there. These words for you revelating people that have woken up out of your sleepy dreaming religion. I wish I could walk away and dig what the preachers say. We know that's esoteric indoctrination and dogma doctrine. Doesn't bring it. Far from the truth, not even in the thing. It's exoteric knowledge, that which even George Carlin said, you're not in the club. They give the exoteric knowledge for them not in the club. And then you get it. They give you doctrine and indoctrination with you. And unless you wake up, you'll remain sleepy in that indoctrination, right? He's saying this right here. He said, there's a crack. There's a crack in the world. Repeats it again and again. 3 times he repeats this. Just 50 more years and we're all going to know. This song was written in 1975. 50 years ago. We're in 2025 and this is right before us, folks. I mean, I seen this really in depth just a few weeks ago. This is telling you that. Watch this. 50 more years, we're all going to know why, when, and where, and how, and who's got to go. Who's got to go? Who's going to go through to that next level? Who's got to go? Who's going through the depopulation of the numbers of them being depopulated, which is happening now and has been happening. It wasn't just the one thing that we got when you said, jibby jab. This has been happening when people don't marry. This is what actually happens when you have a culture that's high in homosexuals. Homosexuals, do what you do. I'm not judging you, but it doesn't produce children. Depopulation mode, going away. Folks are going away. So let's all have a good time before the great divide, because things will start separating come 2025. Do you guys see this? I got to hit back over to this part again. Do you see what this says? I'm being real with it. Do you see what this says that I just read? Let's go. So let's have a good time before the great divide. So look for the subtle clues. And subtle are those nuances that those are seeing, because there's a lot that don't see. There's a lot of stuff people are doing that they've been warned of, but the indoctrination of being just sleepy, they will continue to do that which actually is their going away. Being honest, this song is telling you exactly what's going on. So he said, let's have a good time before the great divide, because things will start separating from 2025. Them awakening and them getting ready to usher in their thoughts the new world order. Something that we know in Western civilization, I've talked about through whether it's Bible prophecies. I'm not necessarily buying Bible prophecies no more. I believe it's just decoding that, which is a script. Now, I think you can prophesy things that are out of that, right? I do. But that which is written, one more time, that which is written is being fulfilled for them who have written it through their scribes, or their scribes write script chores. But the separation, the sheep from the sheep, the left from the right, the sheep from the goats, right? Separating. He says, so look for the subtle clues. The awakened ones are seeing nuances, like I said. Within the structure, you're seeing an other side of a reality that's there. Another timeline split. Many say so. I'm not saying I do or don't. I question everything until it comes to me a complete truth. But I know there is a higher consciousness that splits from the lower consciousness, even if it's just within you. So look for the subtle clues. It won't make front page news. You're not going to see it on the news, because the news is nothing but propaganda, and that's all it is, BS. It depends on which side that you choose. There's a crack. There's a crack in the world. There's a crack. There's a crack in the world. Yeah, there's a crack. There's a crack in the world. I wish I could walk away and dig what the preachers say, but those words don't satisfy me no more, because I woke up to higher truth and know that's just dogma and doctrine. Or politically, the political systems are BS to the max. Left and right, these folks are related. These folks have relationships. These folks are actors and running game. And the game ran is on the citizens, who really power this reality through their energy, frequency, and vibration. Through our frequency, we're the ones that create her. We're the ones carrying. We're the ones that are projectors. We're the ones that have antennas. We're the people are being used to create a reality that other people are aware they want by trends, fashion, and the matrix and the system, because we're followers when we're sheep and goats. Goats don't follow as well. Actually, goats don't follow. They're good climbers. And you know what? We've demonized through this Abraham religion the goats. But the goats kind of are independent and rebellious against stuff. But you know what the goats do well? They walk in high places very well. They walk on ledges and they're balanced in higher states. Think about a type of goat. We call it greatest of all time in sports. Then sports is falling apart. I'm looking at the owners make more money, the players make more money, but the product in these sports is horrible. I'll even say horrid. Now the younger people go, no, you didn't see when they played football when it was physical. All I see this, but also I know it's all phony because all the gambling's coming in because they hit the NBA just recently. Now the MLB got hit. And you say, how did the MLB got hit? They just suspended recently, I believe, 2 players for life. Did you hear what I said? Because of gambling, but it's been phony. Gematria proves that sports is phony. I know this. I've known this for a few years. And like I said, I was the biggest sport. I coached it, played it, watched it. It was my life, raised this way. But when I woke up. And then I see the product that's being put out now, gags me like a maggot. I couldn't watch it now, so I know it's phony. And it's horrible what they do to fuel this phoniness. That's another story, which we can talk about, but not today. But the crack in the world, the coded crack, it's almost like we're getting a glimpse of one side to the other side of a greater reality. It reminds me of the Gnostic story of Sophia and the higher realms of consciousness of unity and oneness from the fraud lower realms of the demiurge also, which this definitely is connected to it. What preachers say, but that don't satisfy anymore. They don't bring real shit. They don't bring real truth. They're indoctrination and dogma. There's a crack in the world. Are you experiencing? He said, just 50 more years, we're all going to know. He didn't say believe. We're going to know why, when, where, and how, who gets to go, who's going to wake up and go higher. So let's have a good time before the great divide, because things will start separating from 2025. So look through the subtle clues, the nuances of truth for those awakened ones. It won't make front page news. Don't look at the places that don't give you truth, like the news. CNN, all them, there's trash. Propaganda trash. So look at that. Depends on which side you choose. Are you still in your lower consciousness, believing this, having no knowledge, still doing things that you've been told because you just believe that's the best way? You don't think past your material world. You don't think past your materialism. You don't think past any of this. And then it ends with 3 times. Notice through the chorus of this, it is a 3-part chorus, which really it's like a trinity of there's a crack in the world mentioned 3 times. It's mentioned 2 in each of them. There's a crack in the world. There's a crack and there's a crack in the world. And he says it again, but it's said 3 times and it's done twice in the song. Interesting. I had to definitely do this because I found this very, very much on point. I'm going to stop the share. There's a crack in the world. That's what it said. And I believe, and I see that play because that last time I didn't do what I did on this time. Because I wish I could control it where I see myself. When I go on the other side, I don't see myself. But I believe this time you'll get the full page share. So the crack in the world by a song made in 1975 by a rock star and a rock band where Sammy Hagar was the singer. I believe this was post Montrose. For those rockers who might be listening, may have a little older to have that knowledge of the music back then, which definitely was me. Would be aware and may know a little bit of that because I know a lot about. I used with Montrose too, which was more the early 70s, middle 70s with Montrose, which Sammy was a singer, but the band was named after the lead guitarist Montrose, Ronnie Montrose. So we see that the alignment of songs, this song was in 1975. If you decode these words, it runs circles around any news you've heard for 50 years. It was direct. It took a decode, and those who are asleep can't decode. They're asleep. They're very much in the reality, not judging them, but it's also the lack of unity and the sleepiness does not help us in the physical plane who are awake. It doesn't. We know that. There's nothing we could do about them who remain in slumbering and sleeping because there's different, even those who awake, many are not awake to states that other people are who have more knowledge, more experience, more wisdom, been through some things, being more creative, been through some things, understand some things, know how to maneuver through knowledge and wisdom and stuff. But then there's that, but in a certain state, they're not asleep, they woke up to a certain level, because consciousness is not everybody's in a certain degree. It covers the all, and many people within the all are in different degrees, of that. So I just really wanted to get down with this, to add it to my last live stream, how this is really something that you have to look at and realize that through different aspects of this song. Said in 50 years you'll know. This song was, and then it mentions 2025. The song was actually made in 75, written and released on its record form in 75. And I'm just like, wow. When I discovered this, and thank you, Patty, for helping me discover this, has she seen them play a song and mentioned 50 years in the future in the song, but the song she seen played live was not this song, but that aspect of this song was in, because they were performing live. In old days, when you perform live, there was so much improvisation in rock, which is actually a part of jazz. Because if you understand older classic rock, it's blues, it's jazz, it's funk. Because rock, you can't put it, that older classic rock's not in a box. It has every element of every, it was so creative and so psychedelic too. And so creative, they took different stuff of different musics in it to create. It's not like a one hit wonder or just popcorn music or bubblegum music we should talk, which is a lot of pop music. It wasn't pop music, but you would see these elements of music because they're playing musicians, that you would see different types of music in it. Why I'm saying this, these words were leading you to 2025. And what was said in the song is exactly what's happening. Kind of even aligns with Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. And you might say Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. If you go watch one of my previous videos a long time ago, I actually broke down, we did part 1 and part 2 of Morals and Dogma here, where I read the plans in that book that Albert Pike spoke of. And like it's again, if this is not Albert Pike writing it, that's okay, because everything that was said in this aspect did happen exactly how the book said it would. So if it's not him, it was somebody in a place to write it that knew of this anyways. And if it's him, not surprised, because the book said it was written in 1889, 87. I could be wrong, but the late 1800s. I would say between 80 and 90, 1880 or 90 was said. As we've seen also, there's been books pop up about Donald J. Trump that was written in the late 1800s and his son. And how did this happen? When you start looking at the reality we live in, nothing is like, this world is not what you think at all. Nothing is like you think. Nothing. And now if your eyes are awake, you're really seeing something, because many of us, and I want to say this for a lot of people, because I heard this from Gabby Kovalenko. It makes sense because I felt this. You might feel fear because you don't know what's coming on. You might even feel what's expected of me when I really discerning and observing their plans, which could put you in fear what's coming when you don't know what's going to happen, because you're actually walking in a space of change on many different levels that will affect you, and maybe not knowing how the come out could cause fear, anxiety, even doubt, unbelief, all this. And it's normal, folks. If you're not, it's normal to feel this. I felt this. I felt fight or flight recently. I noticed that the things I need to deal with on certain aspects of myself, it's pressing me very hard to deal with it. To take even to take advice from somebody that you know maybe isn't on your conscious level, but they're telling you the truth about something about you that you need to maybe work on. And then when you're awareness and you take responsibility, you go, it's true. I need to. Maybe this is causing this, but it's not that you're bad. It's about there's something going on for us to deal with ourselves, to be prepared on various levels, dimensional levels of ourselves to be even. I'm going to say we need to be connected in spaces within ourselves to be able to walk in a power that we have that we are never told by a system that we really have access to. Why would they tell you? Because really, it's this simple. If everybody, human being, would get out of the freaking divide and conquer, because we've been programmed. I mean, the reason you have CIA and the FBI and all these 3-letter acronyms is domestic programming of the citizens that live in the country. The warfare is on us. Yeah. Military complex, CIA, all that. It's about programming people to hence follow the directions and help create the reality that they want, because we're the creators. They really, yeah. Because if they could, they do it on their own, but they don't. Their perverted way is the outcome is a digital. And I'm going to tell you what, when we see all the children being processed with all the stuff going on, wanting, this stuff about being a boy, being a girl. If you don't feel like a girl, you're not a girl, all this stuff like that. And I mentioned on videos recently where that actually comes from. Watch the video recently, and you may be surprised if you don't know. If you know, you know. And it's not new. That's what I found out. It's not new. But when you start really analyzing, looking, and decoding of transgender, the end game is transhumanism, where man and computer combine, uploading your soul, uploading your mind and your consciousness, where now it's in a program that you no longer have access because it's an artificial program, which appears to you to be real. And you know how many people are going to go ahead and do this? They could be losing their soul. They could be losing their soul. So you guys definitely have a great day. I will be returning with some more information, some more. But definitely will be in it soon. We will not be so long, but I just had to share this movie or this song because I was like, it went right with where I was at and what I was doing. So you guys have a great day.